one or Weber and Olive? No, Weber and Palm. Yeah. Rock and roll.
Hey, it's time, everybody. May I direct your mind and ears
to the center of the ring.
Al centro of the octagon, if you will.
Or maybe within the confines of the cage.
Remember, peeps, every fighter has a voice, and so do you on AM 1680. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice.
With your fight-talking host,
Richard Ortiz.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here, every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And again on Sundays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're live streaming here in Fresno, California, here on 1680 AM. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. And so does our co-host, Mr. Co Escovedo.
That's right, Rich. We got a knockout show for you tonight, and helping us keep the lights on and the bills paid, guys. It's Serrano's Furniture, family-owned since 1986 with 9 locations. Bakersfield, Delano, Dinuba, Fresno, Hanford, Madera, Tulare, Visalia, and Porterville. It's almost like we're going alphabetical. And also, guys, Main Events Gyms over on Weber and Palm in Fresno. These are the guys helping us out, so go help them out by checking out their businesses, guys.
Great job, Mr. Co-host Co Escovedo. This evening's show is being streamed live on Facebook page Richard Ortiz by the Fighter's Voice live stream team, with highlights on my Instagram page at the Fighter's Voice. Please share it, like it, and leave a comment for the Fighter's Voice stream team. Tonight's show is engineered by Jose Monroy. I hope I said it right. Monroy, there we go. And in the cage, we have co-host, UFC veteran, the Apache Kid, Co Escovedo, who'll be making you tap the entire show. Now with us tonight is Bellator MMA's Michael McDonald, who fights this Friday at WinStar World Casino and Resort in Thickerville, Oklahoma, against Eduardo Dantes, I want to say. I may have mispronounced it wrong, but I got it close. He'll take us inside on his upcoming events, and he'll go over his fight this Friday. Then later on, we got another badass on the show. Joining us is Bellator MMA's Chris the Cut Honeycutt, who also on the same card, taking on Leo Liete. The Cut was going to tell us about his road back to the cage on his very own. But you know what? I want to hear from the Apache Kid, too. He'll be breaking down this weekend's MMA action as well as a recap of last week's UFC's action. And our new segment called Cole's 5-Minute Round. Throwing down. Also, we got throwing down the towel. Somebody's be throwing it in, but it ain't going to be us. And that's in another future segment that'll be coming up very soon on our show with much entertainment. But first, I want to introduce, my gosh, that juice is getting me, our guest who comes from Modesto, California, out of Oakdale MMA. This former UFC fighter is a force in the bantamweight division, now fighting out of Bellator MMA. Let's give him a proper introduction, and now back to cage side. Ladies and gentlemen, for your main event of the evening, action starts here in the bantamweight division. Fighting out of Modesto, California, representing Team Oakdale MMA,
Can you guys hear me?
Michael Mayday McDonald.
We lose Richard?
What's up, Michael? Hey, man, I wanted to give you a proper introduction, man. So there we are. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Man, I hope that introduction was okay for you.
I don't know if I caught it all, but I think it'll do. Thanks.
There you go, man. Hey, you know what? Cole's been talking about you, rapping and raving, and said, Richard, we got to get this kid on the show, man. He's in the second half of his career, and he's about to get that Bellator bout. Tell us about how you met Cole, and what can we expect once you walk in the cage this Friday?
Well, me and Cole took turns beating each other up.
He said, how did we meet? We met by punching each other in the face. It wasn't like a blind date. It was like, we're going to beat each other up. That was exactly how we met.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Through the Tachi Palace, and now we're dearest friends.
I think the first time we ever met wasn't it weigh-ins?
It was at weigh-ins, and I think someone told you that I said I was going to knock you out with one punch, and I had no idea what you were talking about.
It was one of the media guys is what happened. They had said, dude, no, because they said, hey, go, dude, McDonald's got this interview, dude. Like, this kid like the way, because he didn't say it in a way that you talk. He's like, dude, no, this kid is like confident. Like he said, he's gonna knock this guy out in like one punch. He's like, because he's done it before, and I'm like, oh, okay. And my coach was like, dude, all right, forget this kid. And I was like, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
So
McDonald, did you say that? Did you say you're gonna kick Cole's ass?
No. I probably said that I could knock anybody out with one punch, which is true.
Now, see, that sounds more like
I don't remember saying I would knock Cole out with
that sounds more like what would be said, and then later translated to me. And hey, you know what Michael said? See, twisted.
Oh yeah,
Twisted.
exactly. Engineer, let's get that time going, please. Yeah. So then it got twisted. So tell us about that. You keep interrupting him, Cole. He's gonna lay one on you.
No. He's telling the story properly. It's all good, man.
Hey, you know what? I want to ask you this, man. I know you got media obligations. I know you had a photo shoot today. I know you have all that whole nine laying up, and it's fight week. Let's talk about how you stay focused during fight week and continue to meet all those media obligations.
Well, it's just kind of happens, really, man. I mean, I would say I don't really think about the fight a whole lot until it really gets here. I mean, I think like the day before, you're kind of like, oh crap, I'm gonna be like fighting in the cage, you know. But until then, I really don't think about it much. I just try to stay focused with the task ahead of me, whether it's making weight, training, just talking and being honest in an interview with somebody, getting here healthfully. You know, there's a lot of stuff to do before the fight, and if you're just too focused on that fight, you're gonna miss out on all the stuff to get you there, and you're gonna be in trouble.
You know, I understand your brother, Justin. He's a big part of your team. Tell us about his role playing during the fight week leading up until you walk into the cage. I know he's a big factor in your life.
Yeah, Justin is the head kickboxing instructor for all of Oakdale May, and for all of the fighters and just even regular paying members at Oakdale May. Justin's important, and so Justin always comes with me all of fight week. So he's my best training partner, and every time I come out, he's here with me. So and he always does the hard work while we switch off. When Justin has a fight coming up, I'll do the hard work of like carrying his bags and doing all the grunt labor, and then when I got a fight coming up, he'll do the same for me.
And that's that brotherly love, man. So, you know, I want to talk about what's your relationship with Cole as far as when he was on the mat. Did you guys really spar together? Did you ever your paths ever cross? I feel better asking the question because if Cole asked, he already knows all the answers to that. So how did you guys, as far as after that weigh-in, that meeting went, how did you guys cross each other's paths to the friendship you have now?
Well, first off, he beat me up really bad. I was undefeated, and I would say I was a little bit too confident in my ability to knock people out, and you know, it was a wake up for me of oh wow, even if I'm great at something, even the best at something, other people can be great at other things and better than me at other things, and I can't just rely on the skills I have. I have to work just as hard as these guys, even if I have a certain talent or something like that. If someone outworks me, they're going to win, you know. And so I would definitely Cole out experienced me and outworked me in that one, and it was a big learning experience for me. And then I think maybe a year later we ended up Cole ended up going for a tear on killing everybody, taking out everybody around, going to Japan and everything else like that, and then I ended up fighting Cole again. He was already the Tachi Palace champion, and that's the second time I won that fight. And, you know, just since then, we both went on to fight in the UFC. We've both seen each other there. We both fought people at Cannon Brow, and, yeah.
We actually ran into each other at the Fighter Summit.
Oh, you guys did?
Yes.
At the Fighter Summit.
Yes, we did. And we didn't have any training partners there, so me and Cole would help each other out, and we trained a little bit together at the summit. You know, after both of our fights, we were friends at that time.
That was hilarious. We were talking about how funny it was. We're like, dude, we're both at a UFC. We're both in the UFC. Like, how did this happen? Kind of thing. It was hilarious.
It was so real for you guys.
Yeah, no, it was super real. Like, it was one of those things where you're like, dude, we're actually in the UFC. Like, the goal is met. Like, we got in.
It's there. It's there. I want to ask you this because you talked about training. how has training camp been, and what can we expect? What can the fans expect from you Friday once you walk in that cage?
Oh, man. This is one thing I learned about MMA, man. You just never know. You never know
That's an honest
what's going to happen. You just go in and you do your best, and you might get dominated, or you might, finish the fight in 10 seconds. And you just got to go in willing to accept whatever comes, but willing to stare in the face of that possibility of humiliation and, getting grinded out and stuff, and just do your best.
Now, I got to ask you this. How did the nickname Mayday, where did that come from? Who gave that to you?
My older brother, Justin, gave that nickname to me, and I
Mayday
rejected that nickname for quite a while. So when I had my first amateur kickboxing fight at 14 years old, this is actually for my second amateur kickboxing fight. I was also 14 years old, and it was one of the only times in my early life I ever fought someone that was close to my age. He was this guy I fought was a little older than me, but I ended up hitting him with a couple of combinations. He got one standing 8 count, and then he got up, and then I knocked him out, and the entire fight, including the standing 8 count, lasted around 28 seconds. So it was a very, very fast fight, and for the last punch that I hit this guy with, he just stiffened up like a board and just face planted, and just bounced on the mat. And that was the first time in a sanctioned bout that one of my 3 brothers had a knockout in a sanctioned bout. So we watched that over and over, and I was super proud of it. And Justin kept saying, "Mayday, Mayday, I'm going down," every time the guy fell. And then he was like, "Oh, dude, that's a nickname we can call you." I'm like, "Dude, that is the dumbest nickname in the world. I do not want that nickname. Do not tell people to call me that." And then he went to the gym and just started telling everybody my nickname was Mayday. And for about 3 months, I just "Dude, stop calling me that. I hate that name. That's so stupid." And then I folded to peer pressure about 3 months in, and then I just accepted it.
There you go, man. I kind of like the name because I'm thinking bombs when I hear that. Like you're dropping bombs, like Mayday, Mayday, bombs are dropping. So I can see why they chose that name for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think what comes to my mind is Mayday, Mayday, we need help. This guy that I'm going to go against, he needs some help. He's going to need some help.
Okay.
That's what I think about. So it all works.
I got to ask you this. I need your professional perspective on this. I got to ask you about weight cutting. I know it's a sensitive issue with fighters, but I got to address it only because this Saturday we had a scheduled WBC super lightweight champion, Jose Ramirez. He was scheduled to fight, and it's called his homecoming here at Save Mart Center. Unfortunately, his opponent, Danny O'Connor, did not make weight. But in trying to make weight, he collapsed and was given medical attention for his kidneys. They started to give out on him, trying to lose those last 3 pounds. I want to ask you, what's your take on how a fighter goes through those last few pounds of cutting weight? And when it pulls so much from your body, does that tell you that they waited to the last minute, it was a bad weight cut, or all the above? Do you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I would first start off by saying you don't know, and no one knows without getting an in-depth look. And I would say it's very common when people don't make weight to just make assumptions. And I'll give this example first off. For my last fight, I ended up getting, while we were on our way to London, England, we were going to land in London, England, and we were going to get another plane over to Newcastle for my last fight in Bellator. And London Heathrow Airport had a shutdown. It was like a historic shutdown all over the news. It was just a complete and total disaster. They locked the entire airport down. While we were in it, no one could get in or out. They literally locked us in, and their computers shut down. They couldn't track who had already been checked in and who hadn't been checked out, what flights were coming in.
What did Justin do?
All flights got diverted. I mean, we were locked in this airport for 2 days, and I had nothing to eat but airport food. I couldn't work out. And ended up, I was, during my weight cut, I was 1.5 pounds away, and then the doctor checked me out and was like, "Hey, I know you're good to keep going, but I'm going to stop you right here because your kidneys might shut down." So you never know when it comes to a weight cut. It could be something that's not under their control. It could be irresponsibility. It could be not a lack of experience. You just never know.
Well, I appreciate you first taking on the question, tackling it. A lot of fighters, to be honest with you, they shy away from that because they seem like that's a personal question to ask. I only brought it up because it is for the safety of the fighters, and every fighter is different. Sometimes fighters, as you know, they grow out of their weight class. In your case, you've been very professional at what you do and able just to maintain your weight on and off between fights. Hey, McDonald, we're going to take a commercial break in a few seconds. I want you to hold on. We're going to go to a brief commercial. We're going to come right back, and we're going to tackle some more of these questions, a recap with this week. Cole got a 5-minute drill coming up, so stand by, and we'll be coming right back. Everybody, this is Rich Ortiz with the Fighter's Voice, voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you here on AM 6080, the Fighter's Voice.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we got to take a break.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
For this weekend's fights.
Okay. This weekend?
No, that's cool.
Like the Bellator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll recap with him.
Yeah, then he'll come right back in for the second segment.
Okay.
So whenever we come back or whenever you're ready, Jose, we can go. Who's Cole's? I thought it looks good. And you can hear him very clear on the phone. It's good connection.
You're doing great, by the way, Mike. Thanks, man. We appreciate you doing this.
Oh, no worries, man.
How you feeling?
I'm okay. I weighed myself a little early. I haven't worked out yet, but I'm at 143, so I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah, get a little push a little bit.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Yeah, let's go. All right.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here at 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so does our guest, Mr. Mayday himself, Michael McDonald. This is part 2, and it's called This Weekend's Fights with Cole's 5-minute drill. Mr. Cole Escovedo, the Apache Kid, start us off with this weekend's breakdown and let Mr. Mayday talk about the recap. It's all yours, Cole.
Man, all right, guys. So we got Bellator 202 this Saturday at WinStar World Casino and Resort in Thackerville. Man, Thackerville, that's a name. That's a name. That's a name, by the way. Anyway, okay, so Mikey, what do you know as being on this card? It's going to be what, your second or third Bellator fight? Second. Okay, so second Bellator fight. So you got your feet wet with the organization. What do we know about Edward? What do we know about Mr. Dantes? How are we looking this weekend?
I have never seen one of his fights. I have no idea about him.
Okay,
and that is
cool.
Completely fine with me.
Okay, I imagine the professor's got a pretty just straightforward game plan. Then go out and see what he gives you, and then go from there.
You know, we've talked a lot about this, about game plans and different opponents, and we've had many game plans for many opponents, and I would honestly say that just about every time that I think I know what my opponent's going to do, I'm wrong. Just about every single time I think I know what's going to happen, I'm wrong. And it could be that I'm just horrible at game plans, or it could just be that that's just the game. And I know for myself, experience has shown me, just be prepared. I can't count how many opponents I thought that I knew what to expect. Even my second fight with you, I was sure you're going to take me down and pound my face like you did the first time.
Yeah, game plan was different.
And it didn't happen.
Exactly.
And I was completely shocked, and I was glad that I didn't bank
just
on
jump
that.
on the assumption. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket with any opponent. So that's a good. So going in, kind of having a blank canvas with them, that'll be good. So you know nothing about him, not how many fights he's had.
I do know how many fights he's had. I know he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I know that he's good. I know he's former champ.
Okay, cool. For Bellator or for jiu-jitsu?
Yes, for Bellator.
Oh, okay, cool. So you get a little bit of a medal taste. You're gonna get a little bit of warm up as far as where you can stack in the rankings. That'll be good. You find out real quick.
I know he's gonna be super strong.
Okay, cool, good. Well then, yeah, dude. Dude, I can't wait. I'm anticipating this. This is gonna be a good one. I've been waiting to watch you fight again for a while, dude. It's good. I always tell people to watch Mikey fight. And they go, "Why, bro? He knocked you the F out." And I'm like, "Yeah." But the kid's good. I go, what? Who cares? I go, the kid's good, and he's a good kid. I go, well, he's like a good like just from a role model athlete standpoint, it's good, and that's why I like seeing you do better in this sport because you've got a good message. You're positive. You're not, like every other word that comes out of your mouth isn't an F word. Things like that.
Like you, Cole.
Are good. Yeah, no, dude. It's like if I was here with this swear jar, I'd have to fill it up. So. But that's good then. So real quick, so we get you going. We don't want to scoop you up too much. What do you think about the main event that happened this past weekend? How do you feel about that Cormier? Did you see that? I really didn't see Cormier dropping Stipe like that.
Right. Well, I would say I don't normally watch fights, and this was the first fight that I've watched, like a UFC fight that I've watched in probably 2 or 3 years, and I only watched it just because one of my good friends invited me over, and I went over his house to hang out with him and his family, not to watch fights. But I did see it, and I did watch it. And I'll be honest. I don't think I know that Daniel said that he had that as part of his game plan of what he was going to do. He said, he drops his hands outside the clinch. I personally don't think you need to make a game plan about that. I think you should probably just train to, like, if someone drops their hands, to punch them. And I think that would be like a more simple game plan, I guess. So I don't think it needed to have a game plan, but yeah, I mean, it was an unexpected fight, and it just solidifies what I believe about MMA, which is you never have any idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. No, I did not expect that, nor did I expect what happened after. Like,
oh my goodness,
come on, man. Like, okay, so how? Okay. Just,
WWE, baby.
Yeah, like, okay, so I told people years ago, great man, Scott Coker, had a vision of taking WW-style drama and combining it with real fighting. And he started to do that. When they started to collect guys like King Mo and stuff, and they started to collect these contracts, like, they were doing that. And what happened was, UFC Big Daddy got wind of it and said, we could do it bigger and better. We're going to go ahead and see how that works. So the second I saw who they sold it to and the type of company it was, I was like, dude, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's an entertainment industry company. Like, they have sports agents, athletes, actors, now this, all under their ownership and management. So it's like when I saw Brock come in, and dude, he shoved Cormier, and then Cormier's quarterback shoved him. I'm like, what am I watching? Am I watching WrestleMania? I had to check the channel, so I'm like, what am I watching? So do you think that's what's going to happen? Do you think that's what's going to happen to MMA?
I think it's going to be a big pull, and I think that's who's going to get the lion's share of the monetary awards from it. Unfortunately, I think they're going to get the lion's share of publicity, and you can already see. I mean.
Well, because there's Conor McGregor, and then there's the way they're doing it, Brock Lesnar. There's two clear differences of the same goal of being the attention getter. It's you've got your cartoony TV ones over here, and then your Conor McGregor who talked the talk but walked the walk on every single step he could. People didn't like him, but he just did it, and he just got your attention. But he was out there. This whole thing with Brock, it's kind of like somebody's literally sat and written it down and said, okay, and then Brock enters the stage. It's like.
Yeah,
come on.
But you know what, man? People don't care. I mean, when you look at someone like Mighty Mouse, or the most dominant
pound for pound,
ever happened, and one of the lowest paid champions ever.
He's so underrated.
He's not even headlining his next fight.
I know,
he's
bro.
the co-main event.
It's rough, bro. Hey, Demetrius, we love you, dude. You're so underrated.
He is a cardio freak. He's just a machine. Talent alone.
Talent in a machine. He's just all of it, and he's just so underrated. I mean, but the UFC, to their credit, they're doing everything they can with him, like the Metro PCS thing. They're really trying to put him out there. It's just he's just And don't get me wrong, Demetrius, I love you, man. We got to play Xbox sometime, by the way. He's super quiet and humble, like to the point to where it's too humble. It's counterproductive.
It's
he needs to be out there a little more.
It's subjective. I mean, me personally, I don't think that we should have to. I long for the day that we can be paid for our skill and not by our promotion of drama.
Exactly. Rankings matter a little more.
Personally, I'm happy taking a pay cut, and even if that day never happens,
to get real fights.
To be myself,
exactly.
to be a human being, to be
an athlete,
a servant of Christ that God has sent out to do my mission and not to just create drama.
That's right. Hey, I got to come in right now. We got about 20 seconds. Our segment's going to end, and I want to thank you right now for taking time out of your day. You got a big fight week. We want to thank you for coming on the Fighter's Voice radio show. We got to have you back. Listen, you live in Modesto. We got to have you come in the studio. Cole's been rapping and raving about you. We'll make it worth your while. I just want to say thank you. In 5 seconds, say thank you to all your fans, sir.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me, guys. Cole, good to see you, man.
Hey, man, good luck, Mikey. I'll be watching, man.
Hey, we'll be watching and rooting for you. Hey, have a good one. Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we got to take a break. You know.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
Hey, you still on the line, bud? No, he's done.
I think we lost him,
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay. We'll call Chris now. Yeah, I hated to cut in like that, but man.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Flies.
So what we got to do is just tell me how much time you want me to leave you.
I was going to tell you.
Yeah, say go
like the last 45 seconds, start closing, and then because I would have just had you close and thank them, but we didn't get enough.
Oh no, but just like say go give me a minute, and then I'll know. Okay, so I've got 30 seconds. Okay, I can start wrapping my segment. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then when it's your segment and you're closing it, just say, hey. Myself and Richard, we just want to thank you for coming on the show. And you'll hear me say, yeah, thank you. But you just close it and go with it. So there's no cutoff or nothing.
No, I told you, dude. Great kid.
Oh, man. Nice guy, man.
Yeah, super nice. But, he's right, dude. Demetrius is super underrated, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I don't even want to say he's probably paid well because he's probably not even paid what he's worth, man.
So what's delegation number? 1440 532 1440? Yeah. 532 1408. Shit, am I singing over here? Here, let me read it right here. I don't want.
Chris gonna be to get all kinds of hate. Text me like, "What's up, dude? Here's my butthole."
My bad, Chris.
So, but the thing with Demetrius, do you know he never complains? He might get taken care of on a non-disclosure area that we don't know about, and they might be like, "Dude, Demetrius, just here you go."
You can stay here. Are you gonna be talking on this phone? Okay, then let me just put you on hold.
Yeah, then we'll bring you in, Chris.
You guys talk to him.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, you're already on right now. As soon as we come from this intro, then we'll bring you on officially, and then we'll talk about how everything's going.
Okay.
What up, Honeycutt?
What's going on? Not much. Sitting here
Dude, I want to.
on a food run.
I want to run something by you, dude.
On a food run?
I got a name change idea for you.
We'll run that one during the air.
Change.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him, man.
Dude, okay. Have you ever thought of changing your name to Sweet? You would be Chris Sweet Honeycutt. You'd be Sweet Honey. You'd be Sweet Honey. Chris Sweet Honeycutt. That just rolls off the tongue, dude. That just sounds sexy. Chris Sweet Honeycutt. Like, come on, man. You ain't got to have like a vicious name. Like, you just got to bust people up. That's what you got to do. Tell you, dude.
Hey, we'll give it a shot. If it sticks, it sticks.
And that'll be the thing.
The only reason why you used the cut was what was sticking.
We'll have a T-shirt for you, bro. It'll be called the Sweet Honey Line. I'm telling you, bro.
He's messing with you, Chris. Man, keep your fight face on, man.
All I can do is get a barbecue sauce.
Oh, my God, yes.
There you go.
Dude, bro, that's not a bad idea. Shit, are you in Fresno?
No, I'm
Yeah,
actually
go
I'm in
run it.
Thackerville. I'm
But
out
you're
like Friday.
He's from Fresno.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, dude, we need to get you
Yeah.
like hooked up with the meat market.
Well, we'll do that right now. You can't set them up on dates. Save all the good content right now. We're gonna be coming in right now, Chris, and we'll talk about that barbecue sauce right now.
No, that's a good
All right.
idea.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The fighter's voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here at 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so does our guest coming up, Chris the Cut Honeycutt. This is part 3, and it's simply called The Cut. But I may change it to the name change. I'm not sure yet. Our next guest will be fighting this Friday on the same card as our last guest, Mr. McDonald, and is no stranger to walking inside the Bellator MMA cage. And now, let's go to cage side with our introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, for your main event of the evening, fighting out of the red corner, representing Fresno, California, Chris the Cut Honeycutt. Chris, how we doing, my man?
Just doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, man, I almost gave your number away to the public right now, man. I was giving the number to the engineer, and I was doing it loud, and then I realized, hey, we're taping right now, so I had to stop, turn it around, and just give it to him. So if you get some calls like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, tell your fiance I said my bad. I'll pay for the number change.
Yeah.
I'll pay for the number change.
Giving her your address and your phone number so she can fuck your blown.
Yeah. No, that's my bad. Hey, Chris, I'm
fine.
simply calling this In the Cut because you've been in the cut for a while. What I'm talking about is that you've been playing the waiting game for a moment. You've been waiting for that special phone call. But in between then, you have been training, you have been putting in the work, and you have been living the lifestyle needed as a professional. Now, tell us, what went through your mind once you received that long-awaited phone call to get back into the cage?
Oh, it would start off with that disappointing phone call. They're thinking about getting the fight around September. But then I guess there was an opponent change for Leo Leche, so they asked me if I was willing to step in, and I was just like, no, you're not even stepping in. You're giving me exactly what I've been asking for. So, he's a good name. He's 10-1. He's only lost to Phil Davis. He's a good fighter. He's a world champion in jiu-jitsu, world champion in judo, so he has the credentials to kind of catapult me back up to where I was prior to my last fight, and and it was in July, which is much better in September. So, yeah, I mean, we've been working hard for 7 months or so, and I'm excited to get back in there and and crack some skulls.
In between then, you were playing the waiting game for the phone call, but you maintained your composure for the most part. There was a couple days you just said, you know what, man, I just got to let these hands loose. You just don't understand, Richard. They're itching. They're itching to be scratched. They're itching to be touching somebody's face. And I think you accommodated that just for a little while. You started to put your mindset and thinking, and can I ask you this? You actually thought about getting in the boxing ring. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's not off the table. I mean, I'm a competitor. I'm hungry at heart. And, why spend every day in the gym fighting your teammates and just working to get better if you're not using it? So boxing is one of the martial arts in MMA. I would like to throw hands, and I'm even one of the interviews for this upcoming fight. Kind of asked me if I was willing to even fight 205, and you know what? I scratched my head. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I be? I'm 215, 213-ish, 215 after practice on an average day in the beginning of camp. So why not fight 205 as well? And then we have a whole bunch of options.
Well, there you go. There you are, and that's the mindset of a complete fighter. You're not over here saying, well, no, I wouldn't. This is my weight class. You just want to let those hands go.
That's right. I mean, I'm a mixed martial artist, and I train the boxing, and I compete every day in the gym. So why not compete on that stage where all the fans can enjoy it? So
is it safe to say this new Chris Honeycutt that we're going to see is rested, rejuvenated, and you'll be well-rested and well-rounded and ready to go Friday.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, my last fight camp was well, and I got the flu or some sort of sinus infection the last couple of weeks, so it was kind of a rough ending for my last fight camp. But this camp has been smooth. I'm like can't sit still, can't nap. I just can't wait till Friday comes around.
Yeah, it sounds like you're ready to go. I know Cole has some questions for you because he wanted to give you a name change, and I'm going to let him talk to you about that in this next minute and a half. Go for it, Cole.
Man, we talked about that name change, Chris. I'm just saying now. So like I was saying, you're from Fresno, man. We can get the meat market in on this. Like, get you your own. Like, no, seriously. Just like it was a joke, but like from a promotional standpoint, we could totally do it. Something you should think about. Talk to the meat market because they're always up for doing local stuff. Like they work with Fresno States, and they're all about doing local stuff. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to be like, hey, what about like the month of something we do the Chris Sweet Honey Barbecue Sauce, something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a play on your words.
I was reluctant when you first said it, but as we talked about it, it seems to kind of jive.
And it works. It's a great sponsorship. It's a great local sponsorship idea. So things like that. But hey, real quick. So you were taking this phone call real quick. It's a perfect example. I want to show listeners and stuff. This is a prime example of always be training, always be ready. Like Chris has been training. He's been staying sharp. He's been staying ready. He knew he had a fight coming up September, so he's already staying sharp. This is that moment where the phone call comes in. There's always that story of, I got the phone call, or I got this phone. This is one of those things of the phone call came in.
Right.
And he literally was already ready to go. Like he said, I was already getting ready for September. I'm already good now. I'm good now. So it's like, these are those opportunities. So like, do you feel that was just just perfect timing kind of thing?
No, it was great. Because I was even telling my teammates 2-3 weeks before that I was in pretend camp because I was kind of getting in the slouch where I was kind of just going through the motions, and I was telling Rich about it, and I was down a little bit about it, and his spirit kind of brought me up out of it as well. And you know what? It's like I'm not really doing what I need to be doing, and there's no reason to be doing it because I feel like I'm being I'm kind of running around in a circle.
Gotcha, exactly. Yeah, you're antsy.
So I kind of pulled myself out of it, and I said, you know what? I have a fight. We don't know the date, but I'm in pretend camp, so I'm going to just start training and doing the cardio as if I do have a fight in the books. And there's only 2-3 weeks later that I got the phone call. So
exactly.
It was almost as if I was in a full fight camp to begin with.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good habit you have, and you're a true professional. That's why you stood in the gym. You got the phone call, just like we got the phone call to knock out these bills. We'll be coming right back. Stand by with us, Chris, here on 1680 AM.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we gotta take a break.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
You ready, Jose? Yes, Mr. Engineer. Chris, we're going to go through intro, outro, and then we're going to bring you right back in, my man.
Okay. I got a few. Yeah, definitely. I might end up getting into a van during the process, but
we keep it real here on the Fighter's Voice. Get into a van
candy or something?
Right.
And do some other things, As long as you're not doing... Never mind, I won't go there. That's for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to drop F-bombs.
No,
there you go. So far, so well, man.
Wait for the podcast, and you can do as much as you want. That's coming in August. We'll be dropping that.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here at 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. This is part 4, and it's called The Last Round.
That's right, Rich. And this last round is brought to you, as always, by Serrano's Family Furniture. Man, like I said, family-owned since 1986. 9 great locations. They got the Southern Cal covered. They got Bakersfield, Delano, Dinuba. They got SenCal, Fresno, Hanford, Madera. They got Tulare, Visalia, Porterville. Wherever you live in California, they've got you covered. They're one of our main sponsors. Also, guys, Main Event Gyms, like I said, corner of Weber and Palm. Don't forget them. Go check them out. Get a little sweat going on.
Thank you, Co, for knocking out those sponsors. Chris, we got some events that I want to share with you, and it starts with this Friday in Visalia, California. 559 Fights is back with amateur MMA this Friday, July 13th. Then Saturday, July 14th, Hayward, California. Andre, Son of God Ward, presents the Next Generation Showdown in association with DSAL Boxing Academy, amateur boxing event. Come and meet the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Andre Ward, at noon to 1:30 p.m., with the event starting at 2 p.m. The Fighter's Voice will be ring-announcing this fun-filled event for the entire family. Chris, I want to ask you, what's your take? We talked about it a little bit with Mr. McDonald on the weight cutting before the fight. I'm talking about the safety for the fighters.
All right, run that by me one more time.
What's your whole take on weight cutting before a fight? And I'm talking about the safety of fighters and how they take the weight off, how they prepare themselves for that last 5 pounds.
I might be a little biased on the situation. I mean, I wrestled my whole life, so I've cut weight from as young as 14 years old till the present day. I mean, I'm standing here right now. I'm 15 overweight, give or take a half a pound or so, and I'm right in that sweet spot. So I mean, I'm not even stressed about it. This is going to be a real easy cut for me. And I used to fight 170, which would have put me about 30 over. So, I mean, I think it's. I mean, when you get to an MMA fight standpoint, we're all adults, and if an adult wants to try to do things differently or bad, then so be it. I mean, this is Americans. I mean, I feel like it's part of your freedom to care yourself or to not take care of yourself.
The reason why I'm touching on this is because I don't know if you heard this Saturday, the scheduled super lightweight WBC lightweight championship of the world with Jose Ramirez. His opponent failed to make weight, and taking off those last 3 pounds, he started to have kidney failure. He actually was admitted to the hospital, and he was just in poor shape. That led up to the weight cut a week prior. So I just wanted to know what's your whole take on that? I mean, sports nutritionist or just your lifestyle?
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off a little bit there.
No
There's
problem.
a little bit of a static here. I'm trying to get this stuff taken care of as well.
Let me remind the listeners, you're in Oklahoma right now.
Maybe that was his. I mean, maybe that's on him a little bit, if not all of it. I mean, I'm not obviously him, or I've not been in his camp. For all we know, he could have maybe taken a couple hard punches in later in this camp, and he just wasn't all there. From what some people said, that he looked like he was a little concussed, but I mean, if it was just the sole fact of him being out of shape and trying to cut too much weight, shame on him. That's not the cutting weight. That's not the problem of the process. That's his problem. That's his lack of preparation.
It's a work ethic thing, not the process itself. It's the way he's doing it.
Yeah, so somebody cuts weight badly, so now we should just ban weight cutting altogether. That's not usually how the system works.
Okay, well, I respect your take, and you are a wrestler, and that's something that you've been doing your entire life. You prepared yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually that last week of weight cutting, and you seem to always be on mark as a true professional.
I've never missed weight my entire life for anything.
Hey, and you're saying it with some authority, like you take pride in that. Like I said, you walk around, and in and out of the cage, you're a true professional. So I want to ask you this, Chris. That long-awaited walk inside the cage, what can all the fans expect from Chris, the Honeycutt, this Friday?
Yeah, first round, I'm going to kind of feel him out right in the beginning. I'm going to get him against the cage, get him tired, and then I think an early to mid-second round knockout with TKO. I mean, that's what I'm for. That's what I'm for, serious.
Hey, man, you called it. I like that. Very sure of yourselves, very confident man. Very confident man. Cole, what's your take on that?
I'll do my best to get it within the minute, too, just so that I'm correct on this.
Oh, you're going to take what he gives you, or are you just going to take it?
No, I'm just going to wait until that 2:30 so that I'm correct on this statement.
I've seen Chris in camp
Conor
before,
McGregor, okay.
So I've seen Chris in camp at Dethrone. I've talked to the teammates and stuff like that. Talked to guys like Pop and all the guys that train with Chris and run his camp and stuff. I expect him to kind of be able to do exactly this. Like, he's going to have a good feeling out session. He's going to find out where this guy's strengths are, where his weaknesses are, where the holes are, and be like, okay, now I can put together a game plan. Next game plan, he'll just come out in the second round and just kind of enforce whatever game plan he's come up with after that first round. And Honeycutt's got the weight to do it. He's got the strength to just kind of go, okay, I'm just going to take you down now. So second round is an easy pick.
I completely agree, and not to be, I'm overly confident myself, but after watching video of him going with Phil Davis and, him being a little older than me and having so much video of him, I feel like
put the pressure
other
on
than
him.
the first 30 seconds, this is a walkthrough.
Yeah, put the pressure on him. His cardio tank will run out after the first round.
I'm 100%.
I'm going to be glued to that TV Friday because I'm going to be watching and supporting the Cut, Chris Honeycutt, who's a friend of mine, and I can't wait to have you back here in Fresno in studio. I want all the listeners and viewers to know you're in Oklahoma right now. What time is it over there?
It is 9:01, and I got to get back and then do a little workout to get rid of this jet lag.
You know what? We're going to let you go right now. In 20 seconds, tell the fans how much you appreciate the support they're giving the Cut.
I appreciate 100% of it. Fresno's almost like a home that I've had since I was a little kid. It seems like I've been there for about 6 years. That's the longer I spent in college. That's the longer I spent in probably since I was about maybe 12, 13 years old. I mean, I've been in Fresno longer than anywhere I can remember.
Hey, I appreciate you taking your time out. I know it's fight week. I know you got some weight cutting to do, some media obligations, and I speak for myself and Mr. Co Escovedo, the Apache Kid. It's always a class act to talk to the Cut. Chris Honeycutt will be coming right back here on 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we gotta take a break.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
One more? Are we done? Am I done, Richard?
Yeah, you are.
Sorry.
Now you are, Chris. I'll let you go because
All right.
I know you got some things to do, but I appreciate you taking time out.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Good luck, Chris.
We wish you the
Good luck,
best,
man.
We'll see you soon, Chris.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. I almost gave out his number, huh?
That would have sucked. That would have sucked. He'd be getting all kinds of.
Hey, thanks for the
Deep hits.
communication a little bit, guys. Again, he's in Oklahoma. He's obligations, media outlets, obligations, weight cutting, everything going through his mind, game plan, interviews. Yeah, it's a tough one. And we'll be back on Wednesdays soon. So whenever you want to come in, Mr. Engineer.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here, live stream here on 1680 AM, Fresno, California. A big thank you to our guests, Bellator's MMA, Michael McDonald, and Chris the Cut, Chris Honeycutt, for joining us here on the Fighter's Voice radio show. Thank you for joining us on the Fighter's Voice radio show live stream. Catch our show every Wednesday when we come back to our regular time. We made accommodations for the fighters because it's fight week. And we'll be coming back soon on Wednesday, 6 p.m. live stream. But you can catch us on Richard Ortiz Facebook. Today's special guest was upbeat. They took time out of their whole busy week just to enjoy their time with you, the viewers and the listeners. Now, Cole, I want to ask you this. What's your whole take on them taking time for this, like I said, these obligations of media, and yet being able to stay focused during fight week?
Like they both said, they both kind of described it as a juggling act. They've got all of that. You got to stay focused on all of that. It's easier, like Mikey kind of explained it, and Chris kind of touched on it too. If you tuck it all away into one ball, like the training, the media, the interviews, the press conferences, all that stuff into one ball, and look at it as this is the fight game. This is what's required. It's a lot easier to just kind of roll with it as opposed to thinking, well, I've got fight training and then I've got this and then I've got this. No, brother, it's all one thing. It's all part of the game.
That's part of the professional game.
Exactly. It's part of being a pro fighter. So once you accept that, it's a lot easier to just roll through it because it's just the expected.
Now, is it heavier mentally or physically on that?
Depends. Sometimes you got to get super early. Like when I was in Vegas, I got up and did like four or five radio interviews at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's a physical part. There's just mental fatigue from doing radio interviews, being asked the same questions over and over. That's the mentally fatiguing part. You're going to get bland questions. You start getting a little frustrated with the answers when they should be fresh and happy answers.
You know, again, when you have two good guests and then we run out of time, catch our rebroadcast this Saturday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and again on Sunday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. only on 1680 a.m. Go to our webpage, thefightersvoice.com, for extra interview and video segments. Subscribe to our channel at The Fighter's Voice, our Instagram. And again, we'll see you at the fights. I dedicate every breath that I take, every word that comes out of my mouth to my son Richie. Because of him, I'm doing this and giving you, all the viewers and listeners, 100% of my best. It's a wrap here at the Fighter's Voice Radio Show. Thumbs up for Richie. And there we are. Listen, guys. Hey, listen. Come August, we got the podcast coming up. Still going to have Co Escovedo. We're still going to have this thing going on right here.
A whole bunch of Co
And we're not going to, yes, a whole lot of Co Escovedo. We won't need a swear jar. We're not going to Scarface the show, but there's no handcuffs there. Appreciate the radio show, professionalism. We're going to stay professional. Thank the engineer. Thank the Fighter's Voice team. We got Raul. We have his wife. We got Big Bill. We got Big Al. Big Al Jr. making it all happen. It's a wrap here, Fresno, California. Thumbs up for Richie. We're done, Jose.